Hi, it's Doug Dane. Here's a daily tip from my book so you can live better and make no mistake, you deserve better. I think too many people struggle in their life because of their mistaken identity. But if you don't feel confident to succeed or face your problems and challenges, it's your mistaken identity might be causing the problems. And my book explains your mistaken identity and how it's controlling you. So I want to talk today about do-it-yourself self-help. Do-it-yourself self-help can actually cause real disaster in your life. Have you ever had a do-it-yourself disaster? I'm not a real handy guy, and I've had a few of those where I've had to, fix something in my home, like plumbing at my cottage or something, and I can sit here all day telling you stories about how do-it-yourself caused a real disaster. It actually ended up costing me more money to fix my own disaster from doing it myself. So maybe you can relate. Actually, self-help can actually do more harm than good. Let me just tell you why. Number one, your judgment of you is likely off track. You probably have poor judgment or bad judgment in certain areas of your life and or towards yourself and just how you view your capabilities, how you I guess kind of measure your confidence. We're generally, if you have a mistaken identity, we're mistaken about a bunch of things. And one thing for sure is we have poor judgment in evaluating what we should do, evaluating decisions. We end up procrastinating. So your judgment might be off track, and self-help can actually just make it worse. Number two, your mistaken identity, your cellmate, I call it, likes to keep you stuck. I think a lot of people are stuck in a prison of their own making, and they've been arrested. And it's a case of mistaken identity. The real villain is your upbringing and your conditioning, and now the current social systems that keep you stuck. And so we've got to really break free. And you have this mistaken identity is like your ego, your other self. I call it your cellmate. He or she, they like to yap at you. They say a lot of things. They make up a lot of stuff. They convince you to hold back, to procrastinate, to not face conflict. I mean, they really, really talk to you. So if you're doing self-help, your mistaken identity might lie to you to keep you stuck or keep you off track. It likes to do that. Number three, a big problem is you might be self-diagnosing your own problems. That's a real issue right now for young people in mental health with phones. I mean, literally, it's not just mental health youth. I mean, WebMD, the internet, Google your disease. This whole self-diagnosing thing through online has been a bit of a trend, and we can self-diagnose our own problems. And so self-coaching is generally not very effective, especially if you're trying to self-coach your way through anything that's going on internally. So conflicts, beliefs, guilt, resentment from the past, anxiety, depression, worrying about the future, any of those things related to internal, self-coaching is not really all that effective, and self-help is probably doing more harm than good. You should seek professional help if, one, you're still frustrated and confused. Actually, the more you get into self-help, trying to solve what you perceive to be your problems internally that are causing your problems externally, it can actually cause more frustration and confusion. Number two, seek professional help if your way isn't working. Don't keep seeking more self-help. It's actually going to cost you a lot more time, money, frustration. The cost of your mistakes is way more costly than seeking somebody that can help you. And number three, you got to ask yourself, how much better could you be doing, and how much have you spent and nothing has changed? I was talking to somebody last week, and I asked them, I said, because we got to the heart of what was really going on for them as to what was actually getting them stuck and why they're staying stuck. And they'd been through a number of coaching programs and had mentors, et cetera, et cetera. And very quickly, I was able to identify what was really going on for them. And I said, what does this cost you? Like, just if you look back over the past, 4 or 5 years in your career, for example, what does this cost you? Right away, they went, oh my God, like $500,000 for sure. So they felt that they had missed out in the last 5 years on about $100,000 a year in income. They really felt and believed and thought that they were worth more value than what they were being paid, and then they'd spend about, in their estimation, about $40,000 or $50,000 plus their time in coaching and mentoring programs, and they weren't really any further ahead. They were more aware, which is great, but like I talked in a previous video, awareness and lack of results is actually more frustrating. And so just think about what it is costing you. Think about your health. Think about your relationships. Man, because of my mistaken identity and how I was treated and brought up as a kid, and what I witnessed as a young person in my family, as far as a marriage and relationships, and my dad and mom having affairs with all these people and bringing them around, I turned into my parents in some respects. I really struggled with relationships. I mean, it's I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't a joke then. I spent a lot of money on lawyers and divorce proceedings because of my mistaken identity, and I wouldn't have got into those relationships if I knew who I was, or I would have known whether that relationship was right for me, and I would have stayed and I wouldn't have wrecked it. And so think about the cost of doing this whole self-help game that you're in. And if you're going to improve, if you want to do it yourself, make sure you clear your name. What I mean by that is, like I said, I think people are stuck in an emotional prison. They got arrested because it's a case of mistaken identity. And so you got to clear your name. What I mean by that in that metaphor is that you got to get clear on your identity, who you are. I think too much self-help is just trying to either fix yourself or make yourself more confident, find yourself, find your calling, find your purpose, get better at habits. Whatever the self-help industry is hammering on, you should 10x your income and fill your calendar with leads. Whatever you're seeing in your social media feed, in your inbox about what you should do, telling you, do it yourself is not going to get you to do the things that they're telling you should be able to do unless you get clear on this mistaken identity. So what I discovered was, if you get rid of your mistaken identity, so if you identify what is a mistaken identity, what is yours, how did you get it? And I'm not talking about dredging up the past in any big respect, but when you do those three things, very objectively, you can look at it and go, this is crap. I'm going to clear my name. I am done living as this person, living a lie, living with lies, living with beliefs that don't even make any sense to me anymore. I'm getting rid of it. And then when you get rid of it and you clear your name, it's a lot easier to do it yourself. Very, very important. If you're going to do it yourself, I suggest at least do it yourself with some instructions in a workshop and learn from an expert. So you can fix your plumbing problem all by your own. You can do it yourself. You can look online, go on YouTube, go to the store, buy some parts, go home and try to make it work. Do it yourself with instruction. You can go to a workshop at, say, a hardware store, and an expert plumber is doing a half-day workshop demonstrating how to fix your problem, and then make sure that you have the right parts and the right tools. And then you go home and you do it yourself, and maybe that expert plumber comes in and checks your work to make sure that you did it right. So if you're going to do it yourself, I would do it yourself with some instructions. Or, as I mentioned, hire a professional, hire somebody that is an expert in the problem you're trying to solve, or is getting the results that you want to be getting in that field, and hire them. And that is the way to go. And if you want me to guide you in that regard, I'm pleased to do that. But we got to watch this self-help narrative, this self-help machine, the self-help industry that might be pushing you in the wrong direction. You might be mistaken about the direction you're headed. You might be mistaken about the self-help that you're pursuing, and the do-it-yourself method might be the wrong method, and that would cause some real mistakes. Have a good day.